Hello, 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 hello. Today is January 21st, Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, and we are back for another episode of Bricks and Beyond, a creator showcase series. For those of you that may be joining for the very first time, Bricks and Beyond is a showcase series that highlights members of the LEGO community. Each episode of the series gives you a personalized look into the person behind the account. Our guest today joins us from the United Kingdom, just north of London. He's a husband, father, Lego fan, and a builder of all things miniaturized. You may know him on Instagram as the Mini Modular Guy, but I'm here to introduce him to you as Chris. Mer, how are you? Hello.
Hello, Keith.
How
How are
are
you?
you? Good. How about yourself?
Same.
I always get so nervous when I gotta get my camera adjusted here as well. I always get so nervous when I go to bring people on and there's like this short moment of awkward, like is it connecting or is it not?
I was nervous just before that because I was watching and I'd got no sound, and the sound didn't come through until I came on screen as well. So
Oh,
that
lovely. Okay. Well,
was a
that's
nervous moment.
well, hopefully it's recording with sound for those who aren't able to make it. They will get to rewatch it hopefully with sound. If not, we'll just have to do this all over again.
So, sounds great.
So how are you today?
I
I
am
was going
not
to say, or I should say tonight, actually, because you're 5 hours ahead. So how are you tonight? Me today.
good. Yeah, it's what's just gone 10 o'clock over here.
Yep.
I'm just north of Cambridge in the UK, so it's good. We've just finished our family game for the evening,
Nice.
which
Okay.
we're trying to do that every evening now. Have
Sure.
a whole family game together. So we've just finished one tonight. It was good fun. Had a good laugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good. That's it's important to do that kind of stuff with family, especially non-screen wise as well. Getting old school style, hands-on, face-to-face kind of
Yeah,
relationship building. It's good, especially for the kids.
yeah.
Nowadays they're so used to everything on the screens. So,
I think
so
that's
what's the
what
weather? Oh,
I
good.
think that's what it was for us. We saw the kids spending too much on the time on the
Yeah.
screens, and we're trying to cut that down a bit and
Yep.
go for the kind of, let's play a game at night before bed instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you completely. So, so what's the weather out your way today?
Uh, Bit of sunshine today. We had a good night, good few hours sunshine over here.
Okay.
No snow or anything like that. It's not that cold. You've
Lucky.
been talking to a few people recently, and that they've announced they've got snow. We don't have that over here,
You're
so
lucky. We're in the negatives today. It's freezing, absolutely freezing.
nice.
So yeah, I know I joked with you the other day. I won't send it your way, so you'll be good.
I'd love a bit of it, to be honest. I used to love the snow when I was a kid, but it just doesn't seem to come around these days.
Well, and plus, when you're a kid, like to you, it doesn't matter, like if you get snow in your pants or anything like that. But as a parent,
Yeah,
like you gotta worry about that, and then you gotta worry about all the care and maintenance after, the kids are all
yeah,
soaking wet from the snow. So it's like completely different worlds when you're a kid and you're an
yeah.
adult. But so I know it's only Tuesday, but any big plans for the weekend coming up?
Oh, big plans for the weekend. I'm not sure what we're doing this weekend. We've just got a new niece,
Okay,
sorry, nephew,
congrats. Okay, okay,
nephew. So we may see him later this week. Maybe
okay,
it's the weekend. Don't know. So yeah, brand new kiddie in the family to see. So
yeah,
that should be
for
fun.
sure. Yeah, nothing like bringing a new member into the Lego family, right?
Might be a bit young for that, but we'll give it a go after a couple of years.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, so before we get into any Lego chat, one of my goals of the series is to let people get to know you as a person,
Cool.
and that way, they don't know you just as the mini modular guy; they know you for who you truly are. So, going to go through some questions
Sounds great.
on those regards. Then we'll get into the Lego stuff, and then, as the finale, we'll get into what you're known by here, and I think people are going to enjoy that for sure. So,
That's
I'm not
great.
saying they won't enjoy you as a person, but
We'll have to
what
see. Won't we? We will have to see.
all right. So again, for those that missed, so you are in the UK. up north of London. Now, is that where you were born and raised, or have you moved around at all?
I've moved quite around since since I was a kid. To be honest, born probably more north of here, and then my dad kind of moved around when he had job changes. So we went
Okay,
down right on the south coast, and that's where I was kind of at school,
okay,
south coast of the UK. And then when I went to university, kind of back up north again, and then when I left university, back down south again. So I've just literally gone up and down the
okay.
country, I think, really,
Yeah,
over the years. And then it's been settled here for around, ooh, 20 odd years, I
okay.
think, plus more than that, way
Yeah.
more than that.
Yep. And so when we were talking the other day, so I know you mentioned you're very flat areas, which usually, like when I think of UK, I don't really think of flat for some reason. I don't know why. I'm thinking of these like rolling hills and whatnot. But so you do have mountains and whatnot near you, correct?
They're probably around 4, 5, 6 hours away where the
Oh
real
wow.
mountains
Okay.
are. We
Okay.
really are on the flat area of the coast.
Gotcha.
Kind
Okay.
of the East Anglia area in the UK is very flat everywhere. So it's, yeah, there's not, you don't do hill walking around
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yep.
I have
Okay.
to go a few miles to do that.
Yeah. Now, you did say so. You are more of a rural area,
Yeah.
so you do have some. Do you guys do any like hiking or anything like that around you? Even like, is there that kind of land over there, or is it more just like a flat farmland kind of area?
It's kind of flat, but you've got the coast, you've got kind of rivers and lakes around.
Okay,
We go for family walks
sure.
around. Yeah, but I mean, what I tend to do, I don't know, a couple of times a year is kind of take a break on my own.
Yeah.
Go up to the kind of mountains, up to the Lake District area, the north of the country,
Okay.
and just get away for a few days on my own. I'm going up in a few weeks with my old university housemates as well, so
Oh, nice.
we'll do a bit of hiking while we're up there as well. So that's the kind of
Okay.
thing I like, just to clear the head type thing.
In this day and age, I think that's
Yeah,
important because there's there's so much on demand stuff that kind of overwhelms you at time, and to actually be able to escape that for a while, I think is
yeah,
definitely a nice option to have.
yeah.
Where I am, I'm just like I'm a suburb or rural area, but no matter which way you go, it's like there's cities pretty much all around. So I don't have that luxury. I've been talking to a few of you here now that you guys pretty much have that at luxury where you can just, step away a couple hours maybe, and then you're in the middle of nowhere. So I envy
Yeah.
you on that. All right. So obviously, Lego would be a hobby for you, I would say. And then the hiking and whatnot. But so other than those things, any other big interests or hobbies that you have?
Yeah, I do a bit of running
Okay.
occasionally, so I've done quite a
Okay.
few half marathons over the years. I need to start getting training for the next one in a few months. We need to get around to that, but
Sure.
kind of the running and kind of keeping fit as much as possible, and kind of playing tennis as well. I grew up playing tennis when I
Okay.
was young. I kind of stopped a bit when we kind of started the family.
Yeah.
Slowly getting back into that again, and my kids play tennis and my wife plays
Oh,
tennis as well. So
nice. Okay.
uh, yeah, kind of a sporty family as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So then you can use that as a family
yeah,
activity as well then.
yeah.
Are you guys competitive at all, or you keep it pretty?
Some of us are, some of us aren't, I'd say. I think I've gone through phases over the years of, when
Yeah.
I started my tennis when I was a kid, you get into that competitive streak, you get stroppy with yourself, you throw your racket around a bit of the
Yeah,
court and
sure.
things like that. The McEnroe kind of
Yeah,
period of my life,
yeah,
my
yeah.
tennis life, everything
Yep.
like that. I've grown up a bit since then, I think. So,
Well, it's funny because I don't know if you've ever experienced this. Like my dad and I, there was a certain period when I was younger where I ended up being bigger than my dad, and we got into that little father son kind of with basketball, where he was
yeah,
like, "Oh yeah, this and that," and we'd give it to each other. And there's a few times where things got a little choppy. It didn't mean to get that way,
yeah.
but it was like he was trying to put me in my place. I was trying to put him in his place.
I think that was very much tennis with my brother and my dad when I was
Okay.
very young. We all played the sport. We were all kind of quite competitive at that age and trying to compete with each other in
Sure.
tournaments, things like that. That's definitely a streak from kind of the early days.
I,
Yeah,
I get it. It's hard. It's you can say as much as you want that you don't want to be a competitive person, but sometimes there's that drive in you that just kind of
yeah,
it comes out.
yeah. I think these days with the running, it's more I don't compete with other people. I compete with myself to just try and
Yeah.
finish the race. To be
Yep.
honest,
Yep.
that's the
Yeah.
target these days.
That's how I would. I'm not, I'm not a runner or anything, but I think that's how I would be too. I'd be trying to make sure that I can just finish
Yeah.
and not, tap out early. So, all right. So you said you have. Do you just have one brother, or do you have any other siblings?
I've just got the one brother, a little bit older than
Okay.
me, so yeah, yeah.
Um, Now, is he still? Do you guys live near each other, where you get to see each other?
Probably about 3.5 hours away. So we obviously grew up together, and then he went off to university at the same place I went to,
Okay.
in fact. And it's an interesting kind of history with my brother. When we were younger, we used to kind of argue a lot, fight a lot, as you do with your
Yeah.
siblings when
Yeah.
you're younger.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we overlapped at the same kind of university city by about a year.
Okay.
So we started going out together. We started,
Sure.
our kind of two friendship groups got really close as
Okay.
well, and they still are, years
Nice.
later. And so I got a lot close to my brother at kind of that stage of life, the kind of, the 18, 19, kind of 20 years when I was at university. And that was, we became a lot closer at that point.
Okay.
We are since, but yeah, we live about 3.5 hours away.
Okay.
So
It's not too
we
bad.
occasionally catch up with each other when we are on the drive either
Now,
way. So, yeah.
that's the is that your brother that just had the baby?
No,
Or
on my wife's side.
the wife's side. Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Now is that the first child in that family, or is this a number?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. So that makes it,
Yeah.
different too. So
Yeah.
a new experience for sure.
Yeah.
Um, well, at least so you do have the two
Yep.
kiddos, so married, two kids,
Yeah.
son and daughter. Now, how far apart are they in age?
Same as me and my brother are actually 3 years apart.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So yeah, 12 and 15. So yeah, they're growing up fast as they do, going through the school years, changing quite a lot as they grow up as well. So,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
It's scary how fast time goes.
Oh,
When,
it
when you
definitely
really
is.
think about it.
Mm.
So my son, he'll be 8, so I can't even imagine essentially doubling that. For
Yeah.
those ages. Now, is it 16 over in the UK to drive, or is it a different age?
It's 17.
17.
So,
Okay.
but still, that's not far away. A couple of years, and my daughter will be
Yeah.
driving. That scares everything out of me. I think, to be honest. So
Yeah. So,
that could be very interesting.
so who's going to be the driver education teacher? Yourself or your wife?
Ooh, I don't know. We'll see how it goes with either of us, and then probably employ an instructor. I think
Yeah.
so.
That's yeah. I had a driving instructor, and it was the oddest thing. His real last name was Blinkhorn.
Nice.
Legit, yeah. And I was like, if you weren't meant to be a driving instructor, I don't know what else you're supposed to be in life.
That's great.
So now, for your kids, and again, we'll save anything Lego here to a little bit.
Yeah.
What do they? I know you said tennis, but what else are they interested in?
My daughter is very kind of arty.
Okay.
So she's very creative. So she kind of does a lot of. She taught herself to crochet over a couple of years.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I really enjoy watching her do that because it's away from the phones, it's away from the
Yep.
tablets, and she'll just sit there and kind of crochet, or I call it knitting, which really annoys her,
Sure.
but it is definitely
Yeah.
crochet. And they're both into. Well, my son is kind of into the gaming style,
Yep.
so he's on the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStations kind of
Sure.
so. And then it's kind of my son is very sporty as well, so it's the tennis, the football,
Okay.
tennis twice a week, football twice a week. So it's those
Yeah.
kind of parent taxi jobs during the week to get them
Yeah.
to where they're meant to be.
Hey, that's where it comes in a couple years when the driving comes and they can take themselves back and
Yeah,
forth or
yeah.
whatnot. So,
And pick
um,
us up from the pub when we go to the
yeah,
pub. That sounds great. Yeah, yeah.
I forgot
Looking
about
forward
that
to
one.
it.
Pick you up at the tutor,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah,
that's yeah.
yeah.
Now that the tutor is there actually I just random thought here, is that really is there a building that is actually based off of the Lego Tutor Corner, or I didn't know if there was like maybe a specific building it was
I,
reflective of.
I don't know the details, but I mean, you go to a lot of kind of cities in the kind of countryside in the UK, and you'll see
Hmm.
those kind of
Okay.
things. More of the older kind of historic medieval cities where they've come from that
Yeah.
kind of background, and you'll see a lot of buildings like that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, definitely seen those kind of buildings over the years,
Sure.
and it was really nice to see that come out, and kind of that kind of brings back memories of being in some of the kind of cities and smaller towns in the country.
Yeah, I love it. I haven't had a chance to build it yet. things pile up.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about it. I mean, it looks gorgeous. I saw it built in the store. Um, I know some people were complaining it doesn't fit into the modular line if you were setting them all up, but I think it looks just fine. I mean, none of them really look like they should fit together,
yeah, yeah.
in all reality. So,
They're quite different. Yeah, mine's still in the box, just to the right of me. Haven't got around to building it yet,
yeah.
but hoping to get onto that in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure you have worked on something similar to it, maybe in a smaller fashion.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
over here somewhere. Yeah, yeah. Funnily
All
enough,
right, good. We will get into that shortly because I'm excited because this is my first time. Like I've seen everything you do, but actually seeing it like in person, well, as in person as we are, I think it brings a different
yeah,
dynamic to it. So,
man.
all right, so that is you in a nutshell, you and your family, non-Lego wise. So let's go into your Lego journey.
Yeah,
So, um, rewind to when you were a kid. Did you have Lego as a kid?
yeah. Yes, and I was trying to think through this earlier. I was kind of making some notes for the call, trying to think,
Okay.
right, what did I have? And I think, I had quite a lot of space. I had quite a lot of castle. I think I had some
Okay.
city, but I think I stayed with the kind of castle and space themes mainly. I don't remember much of the city. Might have had a train set, not sure.
Okay.
It's a fair few years ago, and
Yeah.
I think my first big set was the 8860 car chassis Technic set.
Okay.
And I'd love to. I remember a few years ago, quite a few years ago, I'd seen family photos with that set at Christmas
Oh,
because I was in
really?
my,
Oh, nice.
comedy Christmas pajamas or whatever
Yeah.
from, when I was, God, that was 1980, so that was quite a few years ago.
Sure.
And I remember seeing that in the photos, and I'd love to find those photos
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I'd love to buy the set again as well, to be honest, over the
Sure.
years. But yeah, that's the kind of themes I grew up with.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I remember those as a kid. Not absolute details. I had the kind of 6080 castle as well. I remember that one.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Sorry, I'm writing a note down because you made a really good statement there that now I'm really curious. I wish I would have thought about this before. Asking people if they had photos of themselves as kids with their
mm,
Lego sets. That would be awesome to see people like show those Christmas photos or birthday photos of opening that set, where it captures you in that moment as a
yeah,
kid getting a Lego set because that's like a real joy of a kid. Like now as an adult, you can just go walk in the store and buy it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
back then as a kid, like most of the time it was a true surprise, like what you got as a gift. And I think that'd be really cool to see pictures of that. So
Well,
I appreciate you mentioning
if I
that.
find the pictures from my family, I will ask my parents. I will stick them on
Nice.
Insta. There you
Okay,
go.
perfect. Yep, sounds good. All right. So then, obviously, you said now. Do you still have any of those sets, or were they all packed away or given away? Or
This is the interesting story.
I knew there had to be something here.
Yeah, yeah. I heard you talking with Mackenzie, American Bricker, about this one, and I was thinking, all awesome parents she had, keeping all the Lego and everything like that. No, I went to university and all my Lego was given away by, I
Oh,
won't mention which one of my parents it was, but without asking me, and I didn't find out until a few years later that it had all gone. And there was some classic sets in there, the
okay.
castle, the big Technic. I had the space monorail, and every time I see that pop on, a feed or anything like
Oh,
that, it's like, oh no.
yeah. Oh
So
man.
yeah.
Uh, and I'm assuming mom and dad, neither one of them ever fessed up to who gave it away.
No, they did.
Oh,
I won't announce it on here. So I don't think neither of them know what Instagram is, so they
yeah.
won't see.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, it's funny how yeah when she said that how her mom and dad just basically had everything packed away, never touched it,
Yeah,
and then she just comes back and it's all there and they just hand it to her and she has all of her, kid age Lego stuff because I would say she's probably in I don't know what do you say percentage wise actually has that kind of luck? Maybe less than 10%?
probably. Yeah, I think from what I've talked about, and you see it as well. You see it on kind of Facebook Marketplace where kind of parents are giving away their
Yeah.
kids' Lego, and I think, oh, just don't
Yeah.
do it, please don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you asked them?
That'd be a cool kind of I don't know if you want to call it charity or something like that where you go around and you buy sets from people, but then you keep the contact information of who the person was.
Yeah.
And then maybe years later, try to get in touch with them and find the kids and be like, hey, I still have your Lego. Do
Yeah.
they want it back? I think that'd be pretty cool, to kind of come full circle for some of these kids. Maybe I got to put that in motion.
That sounds like a great idea. It
I
really
Yeah, I
does.
mean, the logistics behind it are probably nearly impossible, but in my head, it sounds good. So, now, so you did have sets. Do you remember? Did you have bulk brick that where you could just build things, or were you pretty much just with the sets?
I think it was mainly sets, and I don't think that's really changed over the years. So it's
Yep.
kind of that set
Okay.
based approach to Lego, and I think I've always been like that. I don't remember any, kind of big buckets of Lego.
Sure.
We go down, we go down to see part of my family, a couple of times a year. And when my kids were younger, the big boxes of Lego came out, and that was the like bulk.
Yeah.
And right, we'll build a house with the really square
Yep.
bricks and the classic roof tiles and a couple of
Yep.
farmyard animals and things like that.
They're good.
Yeah, yeah,
The imagination stuff.
yeah,
You actually had to
yeah,
use your imagination to build something. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I love sets. I'm a set guy too, but I know you've probably heard this in multiple lives that I've done. Is that the imagination aspect is just not really there anymore
Hmm.
because everything's just so by the instructions. Now you do have your creator, like the 3-in-1s and whatnot,
Yeah, yeah,
or even the dreams. You can build things different ways. But that's one of the things I really love about what you do is because you do have something that is a set, but you've learned how to make it your own way
yeah,
and
yeah.
learned how to build it completely different than how you'd build the big thing. So I'm really interested to learn about that here in a little bit. So I'm just on the edge of my seat.
My son does a lot of the kind of creative style. Over
Okay,
the years, he's had so many sets, and they've been broken up and everything like that. So he's got the stack of different coloured bricks that we've kind of
sure.
tried to keep colour sorted, and he'll get those out and he'll build other things as well as the kind of all the sets around his room. But he
Okay.
will, he'll sit for hours just building other stuff,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
some of it's really cool.
Yep.
Some of it's really cool.
Yep. Well, that's why I mentioned the other night. Even if you're going to have like all these IPs, I think it would be really cool where you could do like maybe like I don't know what you want to call it, like an add-on pack. So like Star Wars, you could have a
Mm,
Star Wars add-on pack for maybe, I don't know, 30-40 bucks. And it gave you bulk like grays, blacks, whites, reds, like different
yeah,
Star Wars colors, but it lets you build something using your own imagination. Like I think that would be a neat idea for them to do. Um, I don't know if they ever will, but it's a way to like grow the IP, but also not make it so set
yeah.
oriented.
What I find interesting to look at my son's kind of all this different color stacks and boxes of Lego is kind of think, which sets did all those
Yeah.
come from? Because we've got, what we did a couple of years ago when, we put a lot of the city sets as a whole back in their boxes again, and
Okay.
yet there's still loads of bulk
Yeah.
Lego in his room, and it
Yeah.
just
Yep.
intrigued me. Where did all that come from? What haven't we built?
Yeah.
What haven't we put back in a box?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the good thing about some of the sets too is they do come with a lot of extra pieces. Granted, they're typically small pieces, but I think that is a way to build like your smaller piece collection, which probably could benefit you
Oh,
with,
it does.
with what you, yeah.
Yeah, I raid the spares out of boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that definitely.
Now we know where all the pieces come from. So you said you had a brother again. Now, was he with you in the Lego journey as a kid, or was he into other things?
I think he was with me a little bit as a kid, not so much. And he certainly, as he's gone over the years, he's kind of got back into it again over the last few years. But I
Okay,
don't remember him being as big into Lego as when I was a
okay,
kid. I think I was the more of the Lego nerd, kind of like when I was in my single digit years and double
yeah,
digit
yeah, yeah.
years, and but yeah, I don't remember him being into it as much. But he's definitely got back into it again.
Okay,
I,
well, that's cool then. So what does he think about like what you do? Is that interesting to him, or
I think
not really?
I think he's quite intrigued. He asked,
Okay,
he asked me quite a lot about it, and this is something, there was no plan to get into this over
sure.
the last 3 years or anything like that. So it's like, oh, this is a bit of a tangent for my
Yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah.
We talk about it quite a bit and
Okay.
how it's kind of what things I'm getting involved in, such as doing things like this. It's not something I'd thought about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad you did. Because it's some good stuff. So. All right. So then, typical question here. So you were single digit kid with Lego, and then you probably dropped off at some point. I'm assuming that's when
Yeah.
your mom and dad, uh, with the kindness of their heart, gave your Lego to another child in need.
I don't know where we went, to be honest, but
Yeah,
yeah, there was definitely what I think that phrase of dark period of the Lego. I don't remember playing a lot in my kind of late teens or through my early
okay,
university years. So kind of 92 to say 98. I don't remember playing with a lot of Legos. I kind of grew up through that period, the
sure,
later kind of years of school. Yeah, and that was probably, I think, if I'd have probably kept playing with it, my parents probably would have
yeah,
kept my Lego. But it
yeah,
goes aside; it doesn't get played with. It's kind of lying down the house, and they kind of want to get rid of it in
sure,
a way. But
sure.
no, there was definitely those years. What I don't remember playing with Lego at
So
all.
then you would have come in. Do you remember like what years you would have first started getting back into it?
I remember a specific set
Okay,
that got me back into it as well,
okay,
and this will be a year as well. I think it was 99. So I'd left university. That was 94 to 97. So a couple of years out of university. And there was a few of us that used to go to a music festival, the V
okay,
Festival over, not far from London over here. We used to go to, the supermarket for one to get all the, beer and everything like
sure.
that and the food to, cook in the tent and drink in the evenings and stuff. And I remember seeing this was like really early Star Wars, Lego
Yeah,
Star
yeah,
Wars, the Naboo fighter set,
yep, okay,
7141. I've got the notes in here. And I
sure.
remember seeing that set in Tesco's and I thought, well, I've got time in the tent when, the music's not playing and
Yeah,
stuff. I'm going to buy that. I think that's what got me back into it again because I thought
okay,
that looks cool. Let's get back into my childish streak and buy some Lego.
sure, yep.
And I think, yeah, that's where it started again. I think. So yeah, around 99, I think.
So yeah, it's funny because I just did that last night with Star Wars starting in '99. So it's funny that that was
Yeah.
that was the year back in. And yeah, I mean that I know that was like a real rocky time for Lego as well. Like they were kind of
Mm,
teetering on, I guess you can say existence. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean the Star Wars had to have been a huge introduction for them. I mean, because I mean you look at Star Wars now. I mean it has to be one of the top
Oh yeah.
income
Yeah.
producing themes.
Yeah.
So now, do you still have that set, or
I was
did that find its way somewhere
I
else?
was trying to think of this last night when I was looking at the set on Google or whatever, and I'm thinking, where is it? I wouldn't have thrown it away because that's what happened to my Lego as a kid. I don't know where it is. It must be in the
Okay,
loft somewhere. I don't
okay,
remember throwing it away, but I have
okay.
no idea. I have no idea, but I must have kept it. I'd love to find it again.
Okay,
So
good. Well, okay. Well, if you find it, that's another thing. I'd love to see. I'd love to see it. I'm just always curious to see the stuff that people had, um, or don't have anymore, and like the monorail. Like I can't even imagine the dagger for you that that is when you see it. I
uh,
mean,
I've seen it on eBay. I've seen it on Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace. It's been so tempting to hit the buy button quite a few times. That
yep.
and the original, Technic chassis. I think I'm going to have to do it and the castle one day just to go. That's the stuff I played with as a kid.
Hey,
So
if you need some support, I'd be more than happy to tell you it's okay to do it.
thank you very much.
That's what I tell everybody. I'm here for the support. So, um, so now, nowadays with the sets, do you have a particular theme? Obviously, I know I would assume you like the modular buildings, but do you have a theme that you like or enjoy more than others?
Yeah, I think it's interesting over the kind of years of I got heavily into Technic for a while.
Okay.
Some of the big Technic sets, the Class Tractor, the Porsche, the Volvo, the Racejet, etc. I think that's when I got really back into Lego again and kind of
Yep.
went into that Technic theme. Then I kind of came out of that going into the creative vehicles.
Okay.
And so I started collecting those. So I kind of drifted away from the Technic. I haven't built a Technic set for a few years now, actually.
Yeah. Sure.
So it's kind of the icons buildings, the modulars, as you can see. There's obviously the
Yep.
ones lit up in the background, and kind of ideas. Probably, I reckon the icons buildings ideas. Winter
Yep.
Village. We kind of get those out at Christmas, and probably the creative vehicles is the kind of key themes I think.
Okay.
When with the kids, we went into Friends. Really like the Friends.
Sure.
I enjoyed kind of building those sets with the kids, Harry Potter's, things like
Yep.
that. And I'll dip into Star Wars when I kind of want to add to my son's collection in the other room
Yeah, yeah,
because I haven't got room in here.
yeah,
But I do like building the Star Wars ones because it does, it brings back memories of
yeah, for
watching the
sure.
films over the
Sure.
years, and
Yeah, and then
it's
plus,
just fun.
that was how you got back into it. So that's, a theme that brings back those memories. Now, sidebar here. I'm looking behind you here. Beautiful display, first of all.
Thank you.
Now the light kits, is that something that's newer to you, or have you been doing those for a while?
Probably over the last year, 18 months, really got into the kind of light
Okay.
kits. I've had a few sent to me to review and things like that. So it's kind of really good to see the different styles and how they've kind of advanced over the last couple of years.
Sure.
Certainly, some of the earlier ones with the really, really tiny connectors where I've got to get another pair of glasses out to actually put those
Okay.
together, or the magnifying
Yep.
glass or
Yep.
binoculars.
Yeah.
And then as they've kind of advanced over probably the last 18 months, 12 months, to the slightly bigger connectors,
Yep.
connectors built into blocks and bricks and things like that,
Sure.
like the BricsMax 2.0 sets. They're really
Okay.
good. And so, yeah, I've started to really like the kind of lighting kits. One, makes a great background, but two,
Yeah.
just that intricacy of putting them in. And there's a few of my minis that I've put lighting kits in to match as well, and
Did
that's
not
really
know
fun
that.
to see both sizes and with the kind of with the lights in.
Yeah, yeah. Now, if you can't say, that's fine, but do you have a brand of light kits that you tend to steer towards?
I use probably two, the Lilite Go ones,
Okay.
and then the BricsMax. The 2.0 series of theirs are really good, where you've got the kind of slightly larger connectors, you've got flat cables, you've got
Okay.
into, the connectors are actually built into the bricks,
That's
so it's
nice.
a lot easier to put
Yeah.
together. It's
Yep.
less fiddly, probably more durable as well.
Sure.
I managed to pull one of the cables out of one of those sets, putting it together last night, so
Okay.
got to get a replacement for that. The
Yeah,
wires
yeah.
are so small, so.
Yeah, I mean they're gorgeous. I
Yeah.
mean, absolutely
Yeah.
gorgeous. I'm at that point. Well, I don't have my city set up yet, but like I want to do that. But I want to get to a point where I make sure I have all the sets that I want first,
Yeah.
and then I'll go into the lighting of it. Because without the sales, I mean, some of them are they're pricey for
Mm.
some of the modular buildings or some of the bigger Lego sets
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Definitely worth it, but that's one of those collector things that you have to learn how to manage, like what's more important to you at that single time. But I mean the backdrop, you're right, I mean that makes a gorgeous backdrop. So um now, as far as themes that you tend to stay away from now, what do you have anything you don't really enjoy building?
As I said, I've kind of moved away from the Technic, which surprised me because I spent a good few years in that, and I think
Yeah.
I haven't really got back into it again or had a desire. Things like Marvel, Marvel's an interesting one because I've done four of the minis now for Marvel, but I haven't got any of the big
Okay.
sets. I
Okay.
don't really have an interest in kind of Marvel. I've never really got into the films either.
Sure.
My kids, my kids watch a lot of the kind of Marvel films, but it's something I've never really got into.
Okay.
Uh, there's not many. There's not many themes I really steer away
Hmm.
from. It's just that you kind of spend the money on your themes you really steer towards, but there's nothing I really go, yeah, not really interested in that at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
I'd like to give a few of them a try and see what they're like, kind of
Sure.
thing. But
Yeah. I mean, I'm on a brickheads kick now, kind of got pushed into that. So I mean, they're just figures. So there's, not really much you can do with those. But yeah, I mean, I'm always open to see what else is out there. I mean, the Technics I've tried, but you really have to have a lot of patience. I haven't really
yeah,
built any like the big Technics, like the sports cars and that. I've done a couple of the smaller ones, but um, I don't know. It's nice just being a fan and just kind of building what you like and not really worrying about what theme it is or whatnot. Just, like if there's a car I see that's Technic, like I'll try it. If I
yeah.
don't like it, well then, yeah, that's the thing about Lego. You can find somebody else who will trade you for it or
I
buy
think
it from you. So,
I think with Technic, it's if you make a mistake kind of right in the middle of it, and then you
and
go another 100 steps, and you realise you got to spend an hour taking it apart again.
yeah,
That's the challenge with that.
yeah, it's like, oh wow, where'd that piece come from? That doesn't look like an extra.
Yeah,
And then
I've
of
missed a
course,
cog
yeah,
out. Damn.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen some of those big cars. I mean, and they're like intricate builds, those Technic builds. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you really have to pay attention, and you can't be, trying to do two things at once with those.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we've talked about you as a person. We've talked about you with your Lego journey. So now We're going to talk to you about your name that you go by on social media.
Yep.
So you are officially the mini modular guy.
Yeah.
Now, I know that name is deceiving because you're not just modulars, but let's let's go and get the beginning background here. So, at what point in your Lego journey would you say this idea came up, and why did it come up?
So yeah, I think it started off with interesting. What I'm going to pick up is one of the creator cars.
Okay.
So we got here the Mini. I remember going to Legoland a few years ago and buying this.
Yep.
And obviously it's not modular. It's not, it's not a building. But I started to get into these things as well, the mini versions of them.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And so I'm going to move a few of these around
Yeah. Yeah.
down kind of out of the way now. But you've got the Mini, you've got the kind of VW Beetle. So the Mini VW Beetle that went with a little
Yep.
the big Beetle.
Okay.
And I started to kind of these were from other people. They're either official mini sets like polybags and stuff, or other people's instructions.
Sure.
Got a Mini Mustang,
Okay.
uh, and then I got a T2 camper down there, a mini version of that.
Oh, nice.
And so I got all these created cars around the Icons cars and the mini versions of them. I don't know, I just like small versions of things next to it. I don't
Sure.
know what that fascination was or
Yeah.
where it came from. It was really bizarre, but it kind of started off this. And then I bought my first modular boutique hotel,
Okay.
second shelf up there,
Yep.
and because I'd got all them kind of mini cars around, and I was starting to think, oh, the mini module or the modulars, I knew Lego had done. I'd seen them before, the kind of first five
Yep.
modulars, but they hadn't done any since then. 10230 set, and I was looking. I started to get used to Rebrickable as a site, and to build some of the instructions for the mini cars, and I couldn't find any instructions for a mini boutique hotel.
Okay.
So I thought, how difficult can this be? I hadn't used Studio before. I hadn't really done anything with instructions before. I hadn't really designed Lego to that kind of extent. Certainly that not that size. So it was that. I was kind of right. How hard this can be. So I spent a bit of time learning Studio,
Okay.
and then it took about 7 evenings, I think, through Studio, and also then like learning how to create instructions,
Okay.
the bizarre way you create instructions for the bottom up and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And so yeah, it was kind of the first one came out, Mini Boutique
There it
Hotel.
is. Oh, wow. That's so crazy. I mean, that's it right there.
Yeah, and interesting, that was probably the one of the most difficult ones as well because of the silly angle of the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yep.
there's two mechanisms to hold that kind of angled
Okay.
main kind of angled wall inside. So I kind of started off with the most difficult one of the lot.
Well, that's a good thing though,
It,
right?
it is a good thing because you learn how to put things together and you learn how Studio works, and then you learn how it doesn't work as well. So you kind of get those. You learn collisions and everything like
Yep.
that. Like how can I put this together? How do I move things around?
Sure.
What pieces can I use? And I think in the early days, possibly a mistake, quite a few people make with studios, you don't restrict it to the palette that's available at
Yep.
Lego. So you
Yep.
start building things in all kinds of
Yeah. Yeah.
colors, and then you try and order parts, and that's not available, that's not available. So it was kind of learning kind of that process as
Okay.
well. The kind of buying the parts to test the builds as well.
Sure.
So it was this. Started off with a boutique,
And
then it kind of
what
went
year
on
was that,
to
by the way? I don't mean to interrupt you. What year was that?
3 years
Oh,
ago.
okay.
So
So
20,
22. Okay.
2022 is when I've kind of first started this. So yeah, a couple of years into the pandemic. And yeah, it was just, playing around with Studio one evening and kind of, as I said, it took about 7 evenings for the first one
Okay.
to get through it, learn how it works. Then moved on to, I was looking at my history on Rebrickable earlier, which route did I take?
Yeah.
So assembly square came next because I then bought the modular assembly square.
Okay.
And so I started off with the modulars I'd
Gotcha.
purchased. So bookshop, police station. And then I started to kind of, how far, I've got to do 17 of these to complete the series.
Yeah.
How far can I take
Yep.
this? And I just kept going and going over the evenings. And I got down to kind of, being able to do a design in a couple of evenings. These days I can do it in a few hours.
Oh,
You
wow.
really get used to
Sure.
Studio and how it works and, the parts available and the different design techniques. So it's kind of building all those through those early ones and then going through all the modulars. And it was, some of the corner ones were quite challenging. There's another one here, Palace Cinema.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Oh, wow.
So it
that's so
was,
crazy.
and it was the intricacy of how do you get those corner bits
Yeah.
and everything inside. Corner garage as well. That was a good one. Really enjoyed
Oh
doing that
yeah.
one.
Yep. Oh, that's
Um,
oh my gosh, that's incredible.
and then it was as I was going through. I didn't go kind of by time of the backwards time or
Yeah.
anything like that series. I just picked ones out. I kind of worked out which one I wanted to do last.
Okay.
And at the time, so we were pre Jazz Club,
Mhm.
so it was like 3 out since I started doing this. And the last one I decided to do was the
Oh, night.
Detectives
Oh
Office.
wow. That's gosh, man, I just can't get over that. I mean, it looks like you just put it in a shrink and it literally just
So
shrunk.
I kept with obviously the 10230 set from Lego, the original five,
Yep.
was an 8x8 base, 8x8, so I kept with that. I knew I wanted to
Okay.
keep with that. And I've had people buy the whole collection over the years, but I did a second kind of sub collection without the first five. For anybody who'd got that first set five, they could then buy my instructions and build the rest
Yeah.
of them.
Okay.
It's a slightly different style, and that's why I redid the ones that Lego had done because I wanted to keep in my style
Yep.
rather than those five they did. But it's a mixture. People either go for the whole lot or go for the ones that attach to their
Sure.
original set of five if they've got that one.
Yep.
Uh, so then once I'd kind of done the modulars, it was like, right, where do I go
Sure.
next? I'd kind of got those on Rebrickable. I'd learned how to use Studio quite a lot. That was kind of when I went into some of the ones that fit into people's modular layouts.
Yep. Okay.
So I think the next one was Old Fishing Store,
Okay.
another 32 by 32 base, things like the Haunted House. Then I thought, let's have a real challenge and go for the Ninjago ones, the big
Oh
Ninjagos,
yeah. Yep.
of which, they're that tall. Like, how on earth do I do all the intricate bits to this? So
Yeah.
it was doing the three of those out at the time. The markets came afterwards, so that was an add-on to my
Sure.
original collection. Daily Bugle.
Yep.
So somewhere over there is the Daily Bugle, but I'm not going to pick that one up because it's quite delicate.
Yeah. Sure.
And it was kind of then I got into the Winter Village ones. I
Saw those.
started
Yep.
with and I think I got my first Winter Village set, which was the uh, Santa's Visit one. So I've got this one just there, and it was kind of putting that together and getting the
That's
angle of the
great.
house, getting the roof angles was
Yeah.
yeah, that was interesting trying to do that. That probably took a few days, I think,
Okay.
that one, just to get those
Man.
kind of roof angles right and really be happy with that one. And interestingly, I changed the scale for those as well, the Winter Village
Okay.
ones. All the modulars and the kind of bugle and things like that are quarter scale, so they're
Okay.
8x8.
Okay.
I started off 8x8, sorry, the quarter scale with the winter, but I switched to a third
Okay.
just so I could start to put, if I turn that one round, I could start to put kind of mini interiors in as well.
Wow. Holy cow. I
So
did not know that. Holy cow. That's incredible.
So yeah, all the winter ones I've done have got the kind of mini interiors as well in the back,
Yeah.
and they're all third scale. So yeah, and it was kind of taking through the winter ones again, the ones that were most recent, and then going kind of backwards through that one. I took in kind of order of the order they came out over the years.
Sure.
So and again, like the modulars, obviously new ones have come out in the last 3 years. So I've gone back and done, since that, I've gone Jazz Club, I've gone Natural History Museum. In the winters, I've gone for like Alpine Lodge, and the latest kind of Santa's Post Office one.
Okay. Um, so I usually don't like to go in the comments, but I'm going to read because I know this guy here and he loves cities. He asked, "Have you made a small Lego city with all of the smaller buildings?"
I'm guilty about this because I haven't. Although I have done it, I have done it digitally.
Okay.
So in Studio, I've done a layout for the winter and a layout for kind of all the modulars and brought all the things like the
Yep.
fishing store and the lighthouse in as well. But that's huge. It's like 34,000
That,
parts.
that's great.
One, it would be massive, and I've got nowhere to put it. But I like to, if I'm doing brick shows, I like to have that on the screen to see this is possible for somebody to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you get all the models, this is the possibility of what you can do. Especially, I'd love to build the winter one because I really do that. I really
Oh
do
yeah.
like the kind of all seeing all those winters together.
I think that'd
But
be.
again, yeah, build them digitally, but not physically.
I was gonna say that Winter Village, people love Winter
Mm.
Villages, but the sets are so big and like to have like one up on a mountain or one down here, like it would be almost you need so much space for that. I would love to see somebody put a miniature Winter Village collection city together using the miniature versions. Like that'd be
I've
awesome to see.
I've seen it. People have sent me images of the because they've got less space. They've put a mini winter village together, and they've
Yeah,
sent me pictures. And that's so good to
yeah.
see when I get people sending me pictures of what they've built for my designs. That's really kind of heartwarming and kind of it just brings you into connection with people. It's really good.
Yeah, for sure. If you don't mind, I'm going to put a quick plug in here for anybody who's going to be rewatching this later on. If you want to see what we're talking about, you can either go on Chris Mini Modular Guy's Instagram page, or you can go to minimodularguy.com. And on that website, or he's on Rebrickable as well.
Yeah,
But if you go on the website, because that's specifically what I'm looking at right now, you can go on and you can see everything as I believe you can see on Rebrickable.
yeah.
Um, but you have it categorized here. So we have the full set of 19 modulars, the full set of the Winter Village collection, and then I'm seeing which you didn't even bring these up yet. I mean, these are incredible. You have the ideas. Well, I guess you did with the fishing store, but you
Yeah,
have the
yeah.
ideas collection. So you have the haunted house, the blacksmith, um, the tree house, the A-frame, the lighthouse. You have a mini Rivendell. Um,
Blacksmith is
I
that?
mean, yeah, the blacksmith, the Lions Night castles here, the Avengers Tower, and then not only that, but we have Harry Potter. You
Yeah.
have almost every Harry Potter thing. So
Yeah, that
I
was
think
fun
I
doing
saw
doing those
you.
ones.
You have a Gringotts here. I mean, that just blows me away here. I don't. I would love to understand your mind and how it works because like I'm looking at this and I would have zero idea of where to start. Um, the architectural line. You also do the Bricklink designer as well.
Yeah.
I mean, these are just absolutely incredible. I
It was
don't know what to say.
it was really interesting doing some of the bigger ones that you've mentioned there. So I've got the Lion Knights Castle, I've got Rivendell, I've got the Gringotts here. And even though, those are the third scale ones, so I kind of kept the third scale. Even though they're quite small, third scale, there's still, in the Lion Knights Castle, there's 1,000 parts in there. Same with Rivendell.
That's crazy.
Same with
Holy
the
cow.
Gringotts and the Mine. There's
Yeah.
1,000 parts each in those little ones. So you get some sore fingers putting some of these together. So sorry,
Oh, I
folks, that
bet.
got my instructions because they're really small parts. But
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, there's tons of parts in them. And Barad was that was I think one of my favourite designs. I've got that in front of me now. In terms of it's the big ones that really excite me when I'm
Sure.
doing that and they really come together
Yep.
and kind of just work. That's the kind of exciting part.
So when you're doing these, obviously, I would assume you're not going out and buying every single one of these massive sets, studying it, looking at it, and then making it miniature. So can you give us like a little background on the process that you run through on how you start to put the build process together?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Certainly, I don't buy all the big sets because I'd have no money whatsoever in the world, and I have no space for them.
Yeah.
I've already had to move tons into the loft anyway, to fit stuff in here. But it's interesting as new sets come out. When the Winter Village comes out each year, when the Modular comes out each year, you get kind of sneak peeks, you get the blurred images. You start to think, well,
Yep.
is that the set, or is it somebody just, somebody's mock that somebody's saying, oh, this
Sure.
might be the new Modular or whatever. So you start to look at those, you start to get an idea and then you get that kind of next level of less blurry images. So I'll start to work on, say the Tudor corner this year. When I first started kind of working on that one, the Tudor corner, the
There it
blurred
is.
images, I didn't realize, for example, that that wall was angled. So
Oh, okay.
in the original first design, I'd got a straight wall on the front.
Yep.
I couldn't see the
Sure.
back corners.
Sure.
So it's kind of right. Let's work on the front two corners and work that, and then once I get more images, I can put the back images as well.
Okay.
Then on, when they're actually on the Lego website, you've obviously got the 3D spin
Yeah.
you can do, and
Yep.
you've got more images, so you can start to work with those. Some of them where people have taken the time to uh, build the sets from instructions in studio, and you find in various Facebook groups that they'll sell not sell the studio file, they'll share the studio file of a big set.
Sure.
You can kind of import it, and I can spin the big
Okay.
set round on the screen, and and look at the kind of different things, take it apart a little bit, learn what's
Sure.
inside and things like that. There's quite a few different techniques I used. If I've got the set, I'll have it on the desk in front of me and be physically spinning it around, be
Yep.
understanding it. So I've had to use quite a lot of different techniques over the years.
Yeah.
Certainly
Oh gosh.
when I was doing the castles collection and some of the really early castles, there's not a lot of images and things like
Yeah.
that of the
Yeah.
early
Yep.
ones, and you're really having to kind of put a lot of thought in what's behind there, what could be behind there, and things like that. So
Okay. Um,
it's a challenge.
now, have you ever have you ever tried, or so let me backtrack. Do you always start off with Studio now to design one,
Yeah,
or do you ever
yeah,
start off like just kind of messing around with bricks and putting stuff together? Or not even
definitely.
bricks. I'm guessing you're
Yeah,
more like plates, right? Yeah.
yeah. So it's a lot of plates, a lot of there's so many one by ones that go into these designs, one by one by twos, etc. That's why a lot of the spares you get in sets they go into a big box for me,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
can so
Yeah.
I'm not buying the world from Bricklink. I've got a lot of those already. It's yeah. I start in the studio all the time because I've got very used to it,
Sure.
and I can probably find the bits in studio much quicker than I can find the physical bricks in
Okay.
my son's stacks or
Yeah.
stacks I've got here and stuff like that. So it's always starting in studio.
Okay. Now, so then once you design them in Studio, now, excuse my ignorance because I've never used Studio before. So once you design it, does that generate the parts list where then it
Yes.
branches out to where you can how you can get them?
Yeah, so it's very good. Well, certainly with Bricklink, obviously, Bricklink Studio,
Mhm.
Bricklink website is connected together.
Yep.
So you
Okay.
can either be in Studio and you can create a wanted list straight from
Oh,
Studio. Then you go
nice.
over to Bricklink and you go, right, find me all the sellers that I can get these parts from. Or if people are on my Rebrickable, or if I'm already uploaded to Rebrickable, I can go onto there and generate
Okay.
again a Bricklink wanted list. That's my main source of parts. I have thought about using Pick a Brick, but the online version, but it can take 4 to 6 weeks to actually get to you. So
Yeah.
if I'm after parts quick, it's Bricklink usually.
Okay. Man, can you think of the Lego Insider points you would have with all those purchases?
Quite a lot.
So what's the typical piece count on the majority of the builds?
I'd say a lot of the modulars are around 3 to 400.
Okay.
Uh, that's generally for those. Then, as I said, the big designs, the Rivendales, the Baradas, the castles, you're up to 1,000 on those.
Okay.
Winter Village probably around, I'd say, because they're slightly bigger scale, the third 4 to 500, 600 on some of the
Okay.
larger ones, but it's generally around that kind of really max out at 1,000.
I'm trying to find the Barrador one. You don't have do you have
I
that
do.
handy by any chance?
Yeah, I do. I'll try not to drop this one because I've done that a couple of times already. So,
I'm genuinely interested in seeing this one. That's incredible. I mean that's
and
awesome.
then you've got the kind of stuff in the back as well.
That's really cool. I love it. I love fantastic. I mean, I'm glad I'm glad you came up with this idea, and it's funny because you're sitting here and you're telling me about how you don't know how the whole miniature thing like kind of really took off, but when you're showing me these little mini modulars, like I'm getting this little butterfly feeling. Like, ooh, I kind of like these.
I've really enjoyed doing it. I've always been kind of, I needed something creative alongside the kind of normal career.
Sure.
So I
Yep.
spent 8 years as a wedding photographer, kind of doing the
Oh
creative
wow.
that way,
Okay.
and then stopped that when I started to travel a lot more with work. And then this just kind of picked up over the last 3 years. So I've always got to have something else to do apart from the normal job as well.
Yeah.
It just
Yep.
keeps my mind working, keeps the creative side.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's definitely. I can't. My mind just can't think of how you take something at the scale of a full size modular, and then it literally looks the same. I mean, like I just don't. My mind just can't process how you how you put that together. So I'm never gonna try. I'll just come to you if I want something miniature. I'm just gonna come to you. So. Now, so you again, you do have the Rebrickable page, and you do have your website. So the website is that selling just instructions, or do you sell like the kits, like kits to build them?
The only thing I sell are the
Okay.
instructions. I've had kind of requests over the years to sell kits as well, but by the main career I've got as well alongside this, I don't have the
Yeah.
time to
Sure.
kind of get the bricks in and sort them out
Gotcha.
and then sell the kits as well. There was an interesting one, but the first time I built all my mini modulars, a guy in Florida reached out to me and said, I don't have time to kind of build it. Would you sell me the whole lot? So
Okay.
the first time I built all 18, 6,000 parts. So I said, yeah, no problem. And, shipped it into a box and
Okay.
sent a whole set of mini modulars over to Florida. That's the
Sure.
first time I've sold actual physical kind of sets.
Okay.
The downside of that is because I show at brick shows, I had to get 6,600 parts again and build every one of those mini modulars again. I
Yes.
ended up actually, I was in a rush for a brick show. I had to pay my kids to build some of
Oh
those mini modulars from
wow.
my own instructions. It was
Oh, those
I was that
kiddos, man.
desperate.
No free labor, you never get the free labor.
So
Oh, that's funny. So, how long would you say, so a modular, like how long would you say that takes to fully piece together compared to one of the bigger ones like Rivendell or Barrador?
as in kind of build it, you mean?
Yeah,
You
so
can put,
actually
yeah,
piece it together.
I'd say a couple of hours, 2, 3 hours,
Okay.
because again, the bits are quite small.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe an hour for some of the easier ones. Certainly, some of the corner ones are more complex.
sure.
And certainly Rivendell is, Rivendell and the castle are. And I say this on a lot of my kind of the more complex ones on the rebrickable listings. You have to be someone with patience to put some of these designs together because it is not easy replicating this
Yeah.
size. So,
Yep.
things will fall off a bit, and but generally, I get a lot of good feedback
Sure. Yeah.
on the sets of instructions. But yeah, you have to have patience at this kind of scale. One when
So,
designing, and two putting together as well. So,
so if you had to slap an age limit on it like Lego does, what would you say a proper minimum age limit would be?
oh, that's a really good question. I think I've had kids purchase the
Okay.
instructions, as they just, I guess they've got small hands, so it's even more
Yeah.
perfect for
Yeah.
them. But
Well, true.
I,
Yeah.
d- I don't think I could really put an age limit on. Yeah, if you're into the kind of, if I was to say, eight, 7, 8
That's what I was
kind of
thinking.
plus,
Yeah.
that was
Yep. Okay.
probably in my mind. The fours and fives are probably going to struggle with it, but
Sure.
because of the kind of dexterity of your kind of hands in that kind of ages,
Yeah.
less
Yep.
control of your hands and things like that. But certainly in the kind of as you get to the late single digits, you're into that. Yeah, you can probably go through this, I
Sure.
reckon.
Now, again, so as you mentioned, the order or the studio puts together, or you put together the list of the pieces, and then you go to Bricklink. Have you ever had an order where everything came from one person?
Never,
Yeah,
absolutely never. Yeah,
didn't think so.
that, that is one of the frustrating things when you've done your design, then you put it into Bricklink, and then you go, well, that's going to come from about single modular, for about 10 different sellers, and then you
Yep.
start to look at the rarity of the parts. So there's quite a
Sure.
few I've gone back and redesigned, taken bits out, and changed the
Okay.
designs just so I can get it one as less rare as possible on the parts, and
Yeah.
two as cheap as possible for people. So I think when I'd done the modulars after about a year, I went back through the whole, 18 of them,
Okay.
and just basically cut about 20% off the cost, I think, of the
Oh
parts
wow.
just by going, right, which parts do I want to make this easier for people to kind of get and build?
Sure. Yep.
And I think I did it with the Winter Village as well. So, but these days I'm much more conscious about having gone through that kind of thing early in my kind of mini career on this, learning that, and now I'm much more conscious about, right, let's try and keep the cost down as much as possible,
Makes sense.
which these days you can do directly in studio. You've got the model info and you can look at the prices of the bits, and I
Oh
will
wow.
always look
Okay.
at, like, what's the most expensive part, how do I redesign that out and go for
Okay.
something else.
Now, um, for the modulars, so obviously, they look like what they're supposed to on the outside. At that scale, it would be virtually impossible to do anything interior. So, the inside of the modulars, are they just like a solid like brick base inside, or is it still all like plates and what moving parts with inside of them?
It's there's not a lot of space in
Okay.
some of them.
Okay.
There's in fact there's only one that's got an interior. The detectives has a pool table in it,
Oh,
but it's
nice.
literally
Yeah.
literally
Okay.
a 2 by 1 plate
Ah,
with a couple of 1 by 1
yeah.
tiles on top of it. But I
Okay.
thought, I've got to
Yeah.
put that in there just for the
Yeah.
fun of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Nobody can
Yep.
see it. You can't take it. You can't see it unless you take it apart.
Sure.
But yeah, the interior is a lot of it's very structural.
Okay.
So because I'm building a lot of the walls vertically, I'm having to build off headlight bricks to do that
Yeah.
and at kind of angles. But so that if we looked in, for example, the Natural History Museum, it's amazing how, and it surprised me. Same with the X Mansion I did recently, actually, how much I've had to structure inside. So that you think it's quite a big model, the Natural History Museum, but there's hardly any space in that whatsoever
Okay.
because of the way it's
That's so cool.
constructed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure, I'm sure. people in Lego have seen, the things that you do, and I'm sure I can't imagine they wouldn't appreciate what you do, but um, not that I would ever tell anybody. Are there any illegal building techniques inside any of these?
Ooh, there might be one or two,
Okay.
but yeah, I don't think the police are coming around.
Yeah.
Hopefully, to get me for that. So, yeah,
If it's only one or two, we'll
I
let you pass on
think
that.
I try to stay fairly legal on the building techniques. So.
I love it. Now, again, this is I always like to ask if something pops up at the last minute. So I did see you had a little tease on your page today
Yep.
about something coming soon. Are you able to share any insight with that, or we're just going to keep it at that coming
Oh,
soon?
I'm just going to keep
Oh,
it at that.
okay, fair
Uh,
enough.
yeah, I think it's obviously there's something opened up this week for people to put designs into. So
Okay,
something I'm desperately trying to finish, but and then I can get on to building some actual Lego down here. So
yeah, okay,
hopefully release some images out over the next week.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm excited to see those. So now, another thing I know you mentioned too. One of the last things here before we wrap up, that you have taken yourself on the road to some conventions. Do you have any plans this year for any conventions?
I've got a couple coming up. I think this year, one in late March. They're kind of small, some of the small ones over here, but
Sure.
there's some of the big ones I've got my eye on this year. It's
Okay.
getting the time, getting the travel in, and things like that. Uh, and it's kind of working out traveling with these mini. I don't like driving with all these in the car because they clatter around a lot, and you can go. There's quite a lot of casualties when you
Sure. Yeah.
arrive and things like that. They're not as solid as some of the bigger, full size Lego sets and things like that. So it's you kind of have to piece them together when you get
Yeah.
back and
Yep.
things like that.
I
So
yeah, I get it. I mean, it's hard enough transferring the big ones, but at least it's usually a little easier to find where the piece goes
yeah,
with the smaller ones. I mean, I'm sure there's not a lot of the same pieces, but again, it's more of a delicate build, I would assume. So,
mm.
all right. So again, for everybody who might have missed out, or those of you that are rewatching, this is Chris. He is the mini modular guy, as you've seen him here on Instagram. Again also has a website where he sells all of the instructions for all of the Lego sets that have been miniaturized, and there are, if I'm not mistaken, over 150.
yeah. I think now
No,
I've got a bit
more.
carried away over the last 3 years, so I think there's over 150 of them now.
Yeah, I thought I saw a lot. I couldn't remember what the exact number was, but it ranges anything from mini modulars, Winter Village, Ideas, Marvel, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Bricklink Designer, you name it, he's probably made it. So make sure you check him out, minimodularguy.com. Again, he does not sell the sets. What you're purchasing is the instructions that comes with the parts list, obviously. I'm assuming.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, okay. Just
yeah. I
making
mean
sure.
the parts list. If you buy from a website, it comes with the XML files. If you buy from Rebrickable, the parts lists are built into Rebrickable
Okay.
for free. So
And
yeah.
you are a mini modular guy on Rebrickable as well.
No,
Nothing.
I'm actually under my normal name, Chris Tromans, on Rebrickable.
Okay.
But if you search for Mini Modular, you'll find at least something
Yeah.
that
Okay.
I've done, and then you can go back to my profile.
Yep.
So yeah,
And I was gonna say, or you can just go to his Instagram profile, and
yep,
you have a link tree where
yep,
you can get all those links to everything there.
indeed.
Um, Yeah. So, Chris, I appreciate you. I really appreciate you joining me today. I know it's getting a little bit late over on your side of the world, but I appreciate the time you joining me today. I've been really excited. Like I mentioned to you, I've been following you for a while, and I've always enjoyed what you did here or what you've been doing. And then when I started actually looking into what you do, I literally thought it was just like modular buildings and whatnot. And now I see you do everything.
Yeah,
So.
I'd love to have the time to do even more, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, well, I will hope here after a few things get completed here that I'm gonna invest in some of these instructions and I'm gonna build some of these and I'll make sure I tag you here on Instagram so you can see you can make sure I built them the way they were supposed to be built.
sounds great. Have
So.
fun.
Yeah. All right. Again, so everybody, minimodularguy.com, or you can find him on Rebrickable. Again, all of his links are on his Instagram profile. Anything else you'd like to share or toss out there for anybody?
I think that's all. It's been great to talk to you tonight, Keith. It's been a really good experience,
Yes. Well,
and
I appreciate it. And I'm going to extend the invitation as I do with Everybody, I'd love to check in with you later half of this
Yeah,
year, see
definitely.
what you're up to, what you've done in the time in between now and then. Yeah, like I said, if I have the chance to buy some of these, I'll definitely tag you and have you double check them for me. So,
Awesome. Sounds great.
all right, Chris, thank you everybody for stopping by. I will have another Bricks and Beyond this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to stop by and join me for that. If not, make sure you give Chris a follow here. Again, Mini Modular Guy on Instagram. Minimodularguy.com is his website. So thank you again, Chris. I appreciate it. And thank you,
Thank
everybody who joined us today.
you very much, Keith.
All right, we'll see you. Have a good
Cheers.
one. All right,
Bye.
bye.